Don't fade me, bro. This is the WeWin Sports Podcast.
Hello, folks. Welcome to the WeWin Sports Podcast Super Bowl edition. Today, we'll give our 30-second rant, discuss last weekend's games, and then give our Super Bowl picks and bets. I might not even pick a side. I already know what I'm going to say. It's not even a side. David Woodley's basically a professional sports bettor with great knowledge and sharp takes. Cantu has some well-thought-out takes as well, other than, well, let's not get into it. Mike the Mouth Madison knows sports and studies the NFL at least 30 hours a week. He is the most studied of us. He would also tell you he is the most unlucky of us. David Woodley, let's start with your rant.
First is Mike over here, sitting over here. Placed a little bet with them, actually three, around the Chiefs and Bills game, right? I'm on the Chiefs, he's on the Bills, all throughout the game. Chiefs have no chance. They're terrible. They're terrible. They're terrible. They're terrible. Terrible. Lo and behold, my phone starts blowing up as soon as the Chiefs win. Fucking Woodley, I didn't want to take the Bills. He made me take the Bills. He talked me into it. He talked me. You know, and
You really want to go there? I'll go grab my phone and I'll read off where I said I have no interest in the game. Oh, please, I gave you Philly. Please, I gave you Philly. You got to let me have a chance. I said, and the line had gone down. The line had gone down to 1, and I said I'll take 2, right, just to accommodate you. So.
And then what happened in the game?
Oh,
because I believe there's 2 more.
In the game, I definitely made a live bet. That I'll take credit for.
What about the other one?
But don't lie about me.
Okay, Woodley, let me just say this about, Mike called me up one day and he's like, God damn it. He said, I want to beat Woodley so bad that I'm just letting him choose a side. He talked to our friend Stu. We love Stu. Stu's a great guy. Stu plays poker with us in Vegas a lot. And he's like, him and Stu are on the phone. Yeah, it's so much fun to beat Woodley. It's so much fun. Then when Mike loses 8 out of 9 bets, I can't believe I bet with Woodley, blah, blah, blah. Mike, if you have fun trying to beat him, you got to take the loss. Mike.
No, I take responsible for the live bet, but don't lie. Don't lie, because before the game I said I want no interest, and you were like, "Please, come on, be fair. I let you have the Eagles. I let you have the Eagles." I said, "Well, I have no interest in the game." And then you gave me a point better than the line, so I took it.
Oh, that's right. He says he has no interest in the game.
He tricked you by giving you a point.
The biggest game of the year.
No interest.
He has no interest in.
No interest.
As if Mike is out there grinding Japanese baseball.
All right. I'm going to go on my rant. Okay? Who on this podcast last week said that Washington had 0 chance and the Eagles were going to murder them? Why, one idiot is claiming they're going to win outright by 20. The other idiot's like, oh, I like the fucking points. And the other idiot, fucking Woodley's like, oh, 6.5 is way too many. Oh, the kid's too good. I go, dude, but you did say I am a little worried about their rush defense. Oh, they only ran for 7 rushing touchdowns against the worst rush defense. And then this week I already have
What was your pick last week, though? Because I believe you teased him. You wouldn't even take them. You didn't even take them 6. You teased
I'm
him.
not going to lay 6.5 when the line was 4.5 4 days earlier. Okay, now the other idiot below me, Phil, because last week fucking Mahomes ran for more times than he's ran in his whole career. I love the over 29.5 rushing yards. Okay, I'll be booking you on that one. Make sure we get down as much as you can.
Okay, let me say this. I really had a big week. I did predict Washington would win and win big. I got lucky, folks, and I happened to bet the over. I bet Washington to score over 20.5 points. I made a big bet on it. They scored that pretty easily, so I looked pretty good.
Yeah, real easily. They scored 0 points in the second half.
You're right. And they still made it. They still made it. Can't you? What's your
Mike called the blowout, but he teased him. All right. So that's how genius fucking Mike is.
No, Mike's rant is, I picked this, you guys picked the other direction, but in fact he didn't even pick that way.
We know he didn't pick the Chiefs because it would have been a consensus pick with all 4 of us. So we know he didn't pick the Chiefs.
Cantu came out swinging.
Logic. Anyways, my rant is, and this is a player I'm actually a big fan of, Now in the booth, Tony Romo. His
he was so bad, dude.
His announcing on the biggest game of the year, well, outside of the Super Bowl,
the
biggest game of the year, it was awful. With about 2 minutes to go, there was a spot in the game where it's a lot of it's CBS's fault too. There's like a flag on this 4th down play for the Bills. They're looking at it. There's a 4th down play, a flag. Now they're like, oh, let's go check out this flag over here. Romo's like, yeah, I don't know what this could be. Romo's out here lost. Nance is out here lost. All of a sudden, it's 1st down Chiefs. The running plays the other way. This is like a critical moment, like, of these players' careers, to not give them like the right thing. They were just behind. Romo was trying to guess which play he's doing it, but he was overdoing it. You know, where he's trying to run right. Well, he was wrong like all the time on the Super Bowl. And now it just was a little old. I want to just see. I want to hear the game. I don't want guesses in that big of a game. It was fun and cute in the beginning. I don't like it anymore.
One of the funniest parts is when Dave Portnoy, when he put out the video, he goes, and Tony Romo with his great announcing, it's 4th and 5. I think you got to go for it here, Jim.
Yes,
really?
That's a good one. Oh,
really?
Man, there's so many.
2 minutes to go in the game, 4th and 5. Maybe we should fucking punt the ball. I mean, like, it was so bad. And the things that he was saying were so bad. And then he was just like literally like on fucking Mahomes the whole game. Where normally in a Bills game, he's doing to Allen, but I guess they must have told him, make sure you suck off Mahomes more than you suck off Allen.
Jesus, Mike. Language.
I'm telling you.
But Cantu, you and I went to dinner with Tony Romo. You were there. You remember that,
yes. Right? And how about this? It's like it's up there with one of my favorite dinners of all time. Romo is like one of my favorite
David Lee was at that
people.
dinner too, right?
David Lee was at the dinner. I'm trying to remember.
And then later that night, we ran into Johnny Football at a party. Yep. Chandler Parsons was with us. It was a fun night. We went to a club, but I'm just going to say this: it was Romo's worst game. That's all.
Yeah,
I mean, he has a little bit of ego involved in his game. I generally like that, but it was his worst game. But I still think Romo's a fine announcer personally. Hey, Woodley. So, it's nice to have a sponsor. Man, oh man, that clip that we sent out had 75,000 views. Now the sponsor's so happy. Tell us about the sponsor.
Yeah, our lovely sponsor, who we love a lot, is Edgeboost, edgeboost.bet. Have you guys ever had your debit card declined at the worst possible moment? Or maybe your PayPal account suddenly gets frozen? Or you're suddenly out of options to rebuy at a casino? Well, today's sponsor has your back. Edgeboost is the first ever dedicated bank account for gamblers. The 100% approval for sports betting, daily fantasy sports, casino, sweeps, and that's whether you're online or at a brick and mortar casino. But here's where it gets even better. With the Edgeboost Visa debit card, you get 0.5% cash back on all your transactions. That's 0.5% cash back going in, 0.5% cash coming out. So again, 100% approval rate, cash back. Use it. I mean, like every gambler in the world should use it, whether you're a pro, a square like Mike, a sharp like Cantu and myself, or Phil, the poker god. Anybody can use it. So check out Edgeboost at edgeboost.bet, edgeboost.bet. And thank you so much to them for continuing to support us.
Okay, guys, I'm going to go instead. I really like this. I'm going to go with my number one bet, which I'm switching at the last minute here because Mike was teasing me about this bet. But my number one bet is Saquon Barkley under 116.5 yards rushing. I'm going to bet a lot of money on this. Okay, the Chiefs defense, in fact, they allowed 106.7 yards per game. 106.7 yards per game. Mike, I believe Mike is right. They never allowed one person to run 100 yards. That Chiefs defense is the reason they're in the Super Bowl to me. And so the Saquon Barkley under 116.5 yards, I'm going to bet as much money as I can on that. And, I'm a guy that I'll bet $15,000 on the preseason totals. And my biggest bet of the year is generally $2,000, but I'm going to try to bet $3,000. That is the Super Bowl. That is my number one bet. Now, Mike, are you ready with your number one Super Bowl bet?
No.
Okay, Woodley, what is your number one Super Bowl bet?
This one's just for Cantu, right? And this is a can't miss. All right. Now,
Ooh, can't
I got it
miss.
locked in early. The line has been moving aggressively. All right. I hit it last year at minus 240. This year, we got it at minus 800. Will Travis Kelce propose to Taylor Swift on the field at the conclusion of the game? Minus 800. No.
Yeah,
There's
I love it.
yeah. It's
I like it. I agree. There's no chance.
Free money,
up
it
to
feels
minus
like.
1,600. It's up to minus 1,600 now, but it's still free money. I mean,
There's no
Their
way
life
he-
is so public that why would they want to make it
You're not
even
gonna-
more public?
Like, you don't want to overshadow your Super Bowl. That would be just
first
rude.
of all, they
It
have
would
to
be
win.
rude,
They have to
actually.
win.
Okay, I like that bet, Woodley. So
do
first
too.
of all, what we forgot to do is go back to my bet. Does everybody agree with that? Is that a consensus pick? Barkley
Well,
under
I-
116.5 yards?
I'm gonna touch on that a little bit. Okay.
Yeah, go.
The Chiefs' rush defense, which was like top 3 all year, has been absolutely shredded the last 2 games. Mixon he got like 90 in the first half, and then they couldn't run him in the second half because they fell behind by 11. That's when all the sacks happened. And then last week, I mean, the reason why the Bills lost is because the coach is a fucking idiot. I mean, Cooks had 89 yards rushing on 9 carries. They let them run and said, I'm not going to let Allen beat me. I'm not going to let Shroud beat me. And where the Chiefs are probably going to say, I'm not going to let Barkley beat me. I'm going to let Hurts beat me. So that's the flip side to that. I like it.
Well, I actually
mean-
like the over. I think Barkley's
You
in
like
the
the
midst.
over?
I like the over. He's in the midst of a top 10 all-time rushing playoff. I think that's probably pretty easy
Top
to say,
10.
especially
He's like nobody.
he's
He just
got
did
300
something
yards in 2 games. I mean, and they still got to play the Super Bowl, so we don't know. I could be number one if Barkley comes out and rushes for 150 plus. We could get into is it the top one of all time?
He runs for 150. The Chiefs get blown out.
Thanks, Mike.
Yeah.
So I like the over. I think Saquon Barkley's going to get his yards. I think he's going to get his yards. I even like some alternate overs. With that said, that doesn't mean I like the Eagles. I'm not going to go into what side I like there yet, but I like Barkley over.
Woodley?
Yeah, I don't think Cook shredded him. I think he had like a couple of decent runs here. I think the Chiefs did a pretty good job stopping Cook and Allen. Like, yeah, they gave up 147 rushing yards. It's not bad against that
7
team,
yards
right? I
a
mean,
carry is not shredding. Okay.
I don't think he had 7 yards a
He
carry.
had 89
Anyways,
yards on 9 carries.
No, he had freaking 14 carries, Mike.
And
Like, he just like I know Phil's like, don't correct things. We can
I'm
correct
sorry,
things.
you're right.
Correct
You're
stats.
always
Try
wrong.
and correct that.
all right,
I mean,
90 yards on 14 carries. That's 7 yards a carry. Sorry.
And
Sorry.
they held Allen, who's the real rushing threat. Allen had 11 carries for 39 yards. All right. So like, all right here. And Cook had a 33-yard run. So, I mean, other than that, he had 12 carries for like 48 yards. So whatever, they haven't been shredded. I like the under, but the thing that does give me pause about this is, this could be a scenario where actually like KC like really stops the run.
I agree.
But Barkley could get over because like he is the one guy that is capable. I feel like he's had like in the last few weeks, he's had probably like 3 or 4 runs over like 60 yards. Like he has that big playability to do it. So like there is this world where he busts out like a 70-yarder and you get stuffed the other like 20 runs. And you look at it and you say, hey, actually they did the job because they kept him balanced. But with that being said, I'll take the under. And you can always hedge it, right? With like the longest rush.
Hedge it, Woodley, hedge it. Yeah.
There's
Waffling Woodley. Waffling Woodley.
No,
He's
the
back.
longest he's had like a
Waffling Woodley, Mike, was around the first 4 seasons. 4
No,
games.
but he's had a
no.
60-yarder like a record like
You
8
could scoop
times.
it. No. Here's what you could do. You don't even do the Barkley over yards. You do longest play of the game, and I think it's like at 39 yards or 29. You could take Barkley under, and then you could take the over for longest play of the game, and you'd actually have a great opportunity. You could scoop it pretty easily, and if you lose Barkley, you maybe just broke even. So I don't know. That's an interesting one. I mean, listen, it's the Super Bowl. There's all sorts of fun ones there, but give me Barkley under. But I think the Chiefs stop him. I mean, to Mike's point, they're going to focus on him.
Okay,
Yeah,
Cantu.
I'm gonna be betting that Barkley over, by the way, myself.
Congratulations, Cantu. We all hate it, and usually when we're 3-1 against you, you have no chance. But go ahead. Now tell us, Cantu, your bet of the week.
My
for the
bet of the
Super Bowl.
week, my bet of the week is not actually a prop. It is over 48.5. I love both offenses. I think this is gonna be a hard game to stop. Even though I do like the Chiefs defense, the Eagles offense is absolutely clicking. I think we're in for like a 32-29 type game. I think we're in for a back and forth type game, just like the Bills Chiefs. I don't think much is going to change.
Man, those defenses are so good.
I
don't know.
You want one of? I mean, I didn't officially name it my number one pick, but it's one of my top picks. Is the game under? The line was 49. It's down to 48.5. You do have the number one defense in the NFL and the number 3 defense in the NFL, and it's not like the Kansas City's lit up anybody. They scored their most points of the year last week against the Bills defense that was decimated on the back end. 5 minutes into the game, they lost their best back end cornerback. Okay, and then the Eagles ain't giving up shit to anybody all year. They gave up 15 to the Ravens on the road, and
Well,
17
they let up 23 last week.
and 17 to the fucking Bengals on the road. The two best fucking offenses in the NFL. So I really like the under a lot in this game. I think it's going to be like 21-17, 21-20. And I don't know. Any idea.
I guess I'm waffling on this one. I'm going to say the under as well. But I mean, like Mahomes has a way, and if the Eagles put up points, Mahomes is gonna this could be the one where the Chiefs finally end up losing a game. But if they do, I don't think it's going to be a blowout. Woodley, what say you?
Yeah, I think both defenses are good, but I kind of lean the over because of one reason. All these teams, they'll always move between the 20s. And we've said it a few times this year, is like I like teams that actually can put the ball in the end zone. And I think the playoff Chiefs and the Eagles in general are two teams that are going to put it in the end zone more often than not.
Well,
If they
the
get inside the
playoff
20,
Chiefs, the ones that scored 23
first of
against
all-
Houston by the referees. I remember that. Yeah.
Listen, dude, Mahomes is 17-3, like in the playoffs. So I mean, I know later in this podcast you'll go through all 20 fucking games and tell us how Mahomes sucks, but wait until that segment, all right?
No bigger
think you suck.
hater. There's no bigger Chiefs hater than Mike the Mouth Matisow. Now, Mike.
I don't hate him. I just people are putting him in this fucking category of like New England Patriot teams that won most of their Super Bowls and crushed teams against a team that's needed every referee call, every miracle. I mean, block field goals, fucking punts off somebody's foot, fucking, and then like.
Okay, well we'll get that. Well, let's talk about that when we're actually talking about who's going to win the game. But anyways, on the over, my point is on the Eagles side, you have Hurts who push all that. And you have Barkley, right? Those guys are going to get in the end zone a lot. And then on the Chiefs side, you have Andy Reid, Mahomes, and both teams are going to be going for it every fourth down. Like these teams are not kicking field goals this game. So like, yeah, give me the over. And it can be, it can be one of these games where there's like good defense play, but it still hits the over. Like it's not, the final score always isn't indicative of everything that goes on there. But again, the Chiefs, they put up 32 points against the Bills team, and the Bills, Mike will say like one guy got injured, therefore like that's, if that guy doesn't get injured, the Chiefs score 3 points. But the reality is the Chiefs, they put up points when they need to, and I think this is gonna be a really good game. And we'll get into who we think is gonna win here in a minute, I'm sure.
Mike, let's have your bet of the week. You can choose whatever you want.
Well, just want to touch on that for a second. Like the first half in that game, we'll go over the game afterwards. Okay. I haven't even looked at any props. I haven't looked at any games. It's 10 days before the Super Bowl. So
thank you for coming prepared as always, Mike.
Well, I mean, I just figured we were gonna make our bets for the Super Bowl.
Inspiration,
I thought
man.
we were gonna make our bets and picks for the Super Bowl.
Let's be honest, Cantu and I started looking at props 20 minutes ago, but at least we looked.
Yeah, well, I figured we were gonna do that next week.
Mike, we do put everything in our WeWin group chat.
honestly,
All you have to look about is what we're going to talk about. It's pretty easy.
Honestly, I since week 7 on this podcast, I have said the Eagles are the best team in the NFL, and it isn't even close. So I'm not going to change from there. I will have my money on the Eagles.
What's the line, Mike?
I see it's 1.5. It opened 1, went to 2.5, then got bet down to 1.5, and that's where it
I
stands
don't
now.
think it ever got to 2.5.
I never saw it.
I saw 2.5.
I believe
like
Mike.
saw it on
Mike's
your
not a
site
liar, and we're
again.
not going to waste time on this.
I was
one more
watching.
time.
I was just watching the line, and that's
It's
what
not
I
that
said.
he's a liar. He just misreads everything.
No, it went to
He
2.5.
thinks he's
It went
cynical
to
lines.
2.5 minus 20.
No,
on
I
the
think
other
I
side.
think we should waste another minute debating the line. Go ahead.
Yeah,
You
so-
could start, Woodley.
No, it's 1.5, and
Some real
and,
geniuses we have
and
over
I
here
mean,
at this
I'm not
fucking
gonna- I'm not
podcast.
gonna-
that was
Jesus
common.
Christ.
I'm not going to take
It never
one
went
and
to
a half.
2.5.
I mean, I'm going to have
The
my money.
fuck?
It's going to be on the. It's going to be Philadelphia on the money line.
Okay, so Mike's pick is Philadelphia. What is your pick? Philadelphia money line?
I like Philadelphia on the money line. I mean, I'm not going to.
So what's the money line?
Apply probably plus $1.15, I would say.
Okay, Mike likes Philly on the money line plus $1.15. All right, now I'm going to go to Woodley to talk about that pick. And before I do, Danny, post our number 1 picks. I can tell you this will not be a consensus pick. Woodley, thoughts on Philadelphia money line?
So Philadelphia is 1.5. It's actually plus 105 money line everywhere. I'll just take the other side of it with the Chiefs money line of, you know what, whatever. I'll take the Chiefs minus, the Chiefs 1.5, right? Just for the ease of it, right? We pick spreads on the show typically.
Yeah, usually we do, but
I'll
we
take
let
the-
Mike choose the money line. So go ahead, comment on that, Woodley.
Yeah, you can take the money line as dog. Yeah, so
I just don't want to
I'll take the Chiefs. I love the fact that Mike's on the other side of this, first of all, because he's picked against the Chiefs every single time. You go into this game and you actually like break it down, right? And I think he says like they're the Eagles like the best team, and like I don't know, maybe they are overall. I think the Eagles have the best running back in the game, and I think they have the best offensive line. Though the Chiefs' offensive line is pretty good there too. Dude, Mahomes is 17-3 in the playoffs. All right, and I don't care how you pick that apart. Like he's 17-3 in the playoffs. That is a run that is. I mean, Brady couldn't have touched that in his prime. And if he did, it was like close. You got Andy Reid, who he might be the best coach in the history of the NFL at this point too, right? It's kind of like him or Belichick, and like Belichick like didn't do anything without Brady, and the thing with Reid is like, yeah, Reid hasn't won a Super Bowl without Mahomes, but man, he sure got the fucking Eagles there. He got them there once, and he got them to the conference finals quite a bit. You have a defense that I know they gave up a lot of points to the Bills, but the defense came up big when they really needed to.
No, I agree.
Right. Kelsey did nothing that last game. He'll do something this next game. And then
they doubled Kelsey, and they wanted somebody else to beat him, which was probably a really bad strategy.
Yeah. But now all this vet, them being there many times in a row, like this is where it's going to come down to the Chiefs. And like Hunt is there, he's been doing this for a while. Mahomes, the guy's not going to get rattled, right? Like he had a fluke fumble. And they lost the turnover game that game too, right? The Chiefs did, right? Like the Bills played almost as perfect as they possibly could have until they lost that game. So I don't see how the Chiefs lose this one. And then this is like where all these like wide receivers haven't done shit all season long. This is when they come alive. I feel like last year, like Hardman had a decent game. Like Juju Smith had a couple catches. Last week, Juju Smith had a couple catches. Like this is like we're having all these veterans. It's all built up for this. This entire Chiefs team is built for this game.
Woodley,
they
I got
a question for you, Woodley.
Hold on, Mike, please. You're going to interrupt 8 times. We'll 7. Keep it to 7. Woodley, I got this. Hopkins. I think I saw Hopkins at 14 yards on the board, and I'm wondering, I'm thinking like you think, maybe he comes alive here. He hasn't done much, but maybe he's going to go over 14 yards this time. And I'll tell you something else, too. I have a feeling that if the Chiefs lose, they're going to get blown out like they did against Tampa Bay. So they're either going to win or they're going to get blown out, I feel like.
I kind of agree.
That's interesting. That's an interesting take there. I mean, it's they got blown out by Tampa Bay. I mean, that was an interesting game. Like Tampa Bay had such a world-beating defense. I don't think Philly's defense
Kansas City was missing the whole offensive line. I mean, they had all those injuries.
He was scrambling for his life. I remember that game. Mahomes, he was running 100 yards every play.
Yeah, I disagree. I think it's going to be I think it's gonna be close. I think this is gonna be a classic game either way, and I think listen, Mahomes is the X factor, and I think Andy Reid's the X factor, and it's we talked about this last week on the show as well. And
I agree with that.
I know that's one thing we kind of want to talk
Woodley,
about there as
one
well.
thing
I don't
we've
know if you wanna
talked
bring it
about
up now.
all season is Andy Reid saves plays. You know, like, I mean, I don't think he's shown us his whole arsenal yet.
And Spags, that's the other thing too. Everyone talks about Reid, and Reid's the man. Playoff Spags is insane.
Unbelievable.
That last play on 4th and 5 was all Spags. I mean, you heard what Allen said. He said that the way they designed the coverage, he personally moved the offensive line to the left because of what they showed, and then they run a play. Like, we could say, oh, well, Kincaid dropped the ball. Okay, like, it was still going to be, he had to come back to the ball, but nobody's
No, it would have been a
realized
miracle throw.
Like,
Yeah,
it would have been, if he would have caught it, we would be talking about Josh Allen's greatest throw in the history by anybody in the playoffs, and
You're
but
right,
that was
Mike.
all Spags.
You're right, Mike and Woody. That defense, the blitzing, it's unbelievable to me that everybody doesn't blitz, because I'm like, why does Kansas City blitz so well? But they're designed for it. They know they blitz. They know the quarterback has to release the ball within 2 seconds.
I mean,
they know he can only go 3 places.
Allen
quarterback.
burned the blitz the whole game, but they did like a blitz that he had never seen before. They made it look like they were coming. Then it looked like they backed off. So then he moved them to the left, right? And so people want to talk about it. And I'll say, they got robbed with the 4th down, and I still say that. But that's just one play of the game. But the fact that like on this 4th down and 5, Kincaid dropped the ball, but he Spags tricked Allen, like totally tricked Allen. Allen moved the line to the left, and so you got to give credit where credit's due. And I don't want to hear about Allen. Allen got the ball back.
Chiefs credit.
Yeah, Allen got the ball back, down 3, 2 timeouts, 3:33 to go, and only needs a field goal to tie, and he got 17 fucking yards. So losers lose, winners win, and if Allen was a winner, he would have brought him right down the field, and they'd be in the Super Bowl.
Yeah,
it's a good point. There's, we'll have the conversation later about like what the careers
it's
will look
Cantu's
like
time to talk.
with the
And what does he
different
have
coaches.
over there?
Yeah, this is really nice. I found, they really appreciate a good customer when they see it. They sent this complimentary. They sent it complimentary.
Yeah, Cantu's definitely not paid for that in the pits. Complimentary.
Look at this. I mean, we got like a whole bottle service. I got some nuts, some pretzels, some bread.
Cantu, we need you to comment on on Mikey likes, and I've watched Mike lose at least $50,000 betting against Chiefs. For 4 years, he hates them. He doesn't believe in them, and he just keeps losing money. But who do you like on Mike's pick money line?
Money line. I'm sorry. What do you have? Money line. What you said? Chiefs.
He has the Eagles on the money line. Mike Matisow. Who do you like?
Well, I love the Chiefs money line. This is my favorite Super Bowl bet in years. I just think I'm gonna just go through the whole. It's the same reason as last. It's the same reason as I went through last week, and in the first week, there's something about playoff Chiefs. I'm not talking regular season. I'm talking playoff Chiefs. They saved the playbook. This is just going to be me just going over all my points because I can't explain what the universe does. Mike's going to go into, refs, bad calls. They always, I took that into account when I'm talking about the line. They're going to get all the calls. They're going to get something lucky. Like somebody's like a parachuter is going to parachute in and it's going to throw the Eagles off. It's going to be something so crazy that you guys are going to come in and it's going to be like, I can't believe so-and-so like there was a streaker, it came out and bumped the receiver. You're going to say something nutty when in fact, you're on the wrong side, Mike. That's
listen,
you're on the hold on.
This I know for a fact.
I'm not done.
I went over this last week.
Mike, let Cantu finish. Danny, mute Mike, Danny, please.
So
mute him.
It's
Go ahead,
something.
Cantu.
It's something with the Taylor Swift. Who's Taylor going to bring into the box for the Super Bowl? I hope she brings Caitlin. I am such a Caitlin Clark fan. I hope she brings her in. I got to see what Caitlin's up to. Yeah, like the magic. They're going to have the magic rolling. The Eagles. This is yeah, like they have been there before, but this is still a little bit more nervous of a spot. You want to talk about who's there every single year? The Chiefs are there every year. And this just adds up. They have been there before. Mahomes has been under all this pressure. I think we're going to have a great game. I would not lay the 1.5 because it might land one. They're going to win somehow. It's going to come on like a blocked field goal.
Okay.
And that's what I got.
Okay,
You
it's
missed
my
the biggest
turn to
point, though. They
comment
can
on the
three-peat.
Chiefs.
Three-peat.
On the Chiefs game. Okay, so I love the Chiefs. I do, but it's very interesting because I'm not going to bet it yet. I'm going to wait one more week, and I'm going to bet it next week because right now I like the Chiefs, but I don't like them. I said I love them. I don't like them that much, but I suspect in about a week I'm going to love the Chiefs, and I'm going to fire hard on the Chiefs. But at this point, I'm just a little bit more, I'm just going to be a little bit more cautious. I'm going to wait for the line to move a little bit. And then I think next week I'm going to love the Chiefs. But in no world do I ever bet the Eagles.
Yeah. I want to ask one question, you guys. To
wait,
win,
Mike. Wait, Mike. Not Case Chocolate Milk. Go ahead, Mike.
To win, let's. I want to be honest. To win championships in all football, what is the name of the game? Run the ball, stop the run. Philadelphia is number one in running the ball and number one at stopping the run. The Kansas City Chiefs, the way Pacheco has come back since injury, he's looked a shell of himself. And as far as stopping the run, which was the number 3 going into 2 weeks ago, I mean, Mixon and Cooks, I mean, they ran the ball pretty damn good the last 2 weeks. And if that holds true, and that's why if Barkley goes over the 116, there is zero chance the Chiefs win this game. And anybody wants to bet me, we can parlay.
True.
We can parlay that.
That is not true.
I'll make a bet with anybody here. If Barkley goes under,
Yep.
Okay, if
Just
Barkley
over,
goes
you mean.
over, the Chiefs will lose. And I will bet any amount of money.
Yep.
If
By
it
the
goes
way,
over.
don't be surprised. Don't be surprised if
That's
the
our
Eagles
bet.
just give it to Barkley
That's
30
our bet.
times.
I'll bet
Just some
1,000 with I'll bet
all-time
1,000
record.
with each of you. If Barkley goes
Bucks.
over, the Chiefs lose.
I would not do that,
Look.
but you said it's impossible. So if you lay 2 or 3 to 1, then maybe we'll take it. Mike, I have to say that I wish that people at home could see our text stream, because whenever you have a bet on any team ever, and the refs work against them somehow, you're like, unbelievable, that should never have happened. If turnovers happen and it's against you, that turnover. But if it's in your favor, you're like, yeah, of course we got that turnover.
All right,
I have never seen a guy with more rose-colored glasses towards his
Rose-colored
position
glasses? Okay.
than you.
I'm going to ask
It's
every
true.
one of you this question.
Yeah.
Did Kincaid get the first down on 3rd down? And did Allen get the first down on 4th down? The answer is equivocally yes on both of them, and there's no debating it.
Why did
You
they
cannot
challenge it?
show me
Why did
any
they challenge
angle,
it?
not any angle, that they didn't get a first down on the 3rd down and on 4th down. And that was the game, by the way.
Why
Nope.
didn't they
first of all,
challenge it?
it was up for debate. They did challenge it, and it was overturned. I mean, listen, you can't leave it in the ref's hands on those things.
Oh,
And
that's
that
what
I
it was.
agree with you.
Yes, it
I
was.
agree with you.
I
You
have a- I
cannot
have a
leave it in the
question
ref.
for you.
I don't
too.
think he got it on
I have a
4th down, Mike. I don't know about 3rd down,
I don't
but I
think-
don't think he got it on 4th down.
Yeah, he may have
He
gotten
only
down,
had to
but that
touch
also
the line.
they
He
should-
didn't have to go over the line, guys. He only had to touch the line. His whole body was over the line, but they said he didn't even touch the line.
Well, the ball has to go
I have
over
a
the
question
line,
for you,
Mike,
Mike.
not the
I have a
body.
question for you.
I
There were
thought
five
if it
numbers
were
that
based
game.
on his right shoulder, he made it,
body was
Mike.
for sure over. His body
For
was
sure, but
over.
I didn't
It's
think the ball was over.
The ball is what we're
But
talking
of course,
about.
Mike,
Wait,
because
the referee that was looking at the ball moved it a yard and a half forward than the referee that had his back to the ball. That actually fucking didn't even see where the ball was. So
You know
you
the
tell
funny
me.
thing, Mike, is? The funny thing is, like, if this would have gone the other direction, you would be here screaming
It
about how he
doesn't
didn't
matter. I agree with what Woodley just said. You can't leave it in the ref's hands. You don't run a stupid fucking call like that you fucking run a fucking tush push up the middle, run some kind of other play. You can't. Listen, did he make it? Yes, okay? But the play calling was an atrocity, okay? And you can't, and listen, to be the champs, you got to beat the champs, and they didn't do it. And the Buffalo Bills and Allen were terrible out of the gate, and he was a loser on that down.
And you bet a lot of money on the Bills, and you told us all the Bills were going to win. You told us all the Chiefs suck. You've lost 50,000 betting against the Chiefs.
Mike.
Have you learned your lesson, Mike?
Mike,
let's go back to
have
last.
you learned your lesson?
Let's go
He
back.
has not learned his lesson.
Let's go back to
Mike,
last week's
how many
podcast.
playoff games? How many
I
playoff
said
games
I-
have the Chiefs won?
I
Just
said
how many
I
they won in a
lean-
row?
I
Mike,
told you.
Stop.
No, when I was going down through the schedules, I told you guys
Oh,
the
week
Chiefs.
4. Let's go back to week
didn't
4.
I
listen.
told you the Bills. Every good team they beat they've given up over 32, and I'm very worried about their defense, which is why I'm not betting the game.
Weeks 4,
But then
5,
you
we
bet it
didn't- we
against
didn't
Woodley.
listen.
Yeah, but go look back at what I said last week. You act like I was all in on fucking the Bills.
Mike, all I'm saying is you lost
ranted-
50,000 betting against the Chiefs. By the way, Mike, I got to congratulate you on one thing, Mike. You won $5,000 from me. I had the 49ers to make the Super Bowl. You had the Philadelphia Eagles. I paid you that $5,000 within 4 minutes
Nice
of the
job,
game
Mike.
ending.
Yeah, and I
Well
wanted
done.
to lose
Good
to you in
job,
that
Mike.
bet because now Ryan has a $5,000 free roll. on
Ryan
me.
Feldman, who's been one of our panelists this week, Mike lost 10,000, but you got 5
I
from me,
haven't
Mike.
lost 10,000 to him, okay? I lost
Okay.
5 to him because at the beginning of the year, he picked like a bunch of shitburger teams to go farthest. Nobody could pick Kansas City. That was the rule, okay? And going into the playoffs, I had the Ravens, the Bills, and the Lions, and he had the Eagles. And I kept saying to him, you want to get out of that bet? Because I knew the Eagles, I've said it since week 7 on the show, were the best team in football, and they
You have.
waltzed. They've waltzed into the Super Bowl, and that's what happened. So now
You have been preaching about the Eagles making the Super Bowl for a long time. I'll
Yeah.
give you that.
I mean, so you know, here's the thing is, if I
Mike,
would've
hold on,
lost-
Mike, hold up 1 second. Here's what I need you to do. You need to open up your phone and look at some of the prop bets. Meanwhile, I'm going to go to Cantu for his second bet. Cantu, what's your second best bet?
Second bet. I like Jalen Hurts over 40 yards rushing.
Jalen over 40 yards
yeah,
rushing.
I'm going to say I think the Eagles are going to empty out their playbook. When it comes to this, it's the same with the Chiefs. Whenever it comes to these Super Bowl games, championship, AFC, NFC championships, or even deeper into the playoffs, teams just love to just run. Because if you get hurt, well, you got 8 months, 9 months to get better. I mean, you don't want to get hurt the first quarter, but they run much more. 40 yards is nothing for Jalen Hurts. I think they're going to be giving it to Barkley as well. I mean, between Jalen and Barkley, I like over. I just think, and I like the total rushing yards of I forget what it is, 158 or whatever.
Cantu, I think you're truly insane with that bet. But Mike,
too.
let's correct you. Mike, comment first.
I mean, like, here's the thing: they're going to be focusing on Saquon.
No,
right?
you're going to go over. I think that sounds insane. to
There's
me.
no chance that I'm taking over in that play. Okay, no. I mean, listen. If they focus on Saquon, which I think they're going to do, which is why I like the under 116. Hurts is going to have to throw the ball, and he looked great. And listen, as bad as the Washington rush defense has been, like the last 4 or 5 weeks, the Washington pass defense has been much better. And Hurts played an amazing game. Like he made some incredible throws.
Incredible throws.
And listen, that's the thing. If they shut down Barkley and like let's be honest, like Kansas City's pass defense has been shredded all year. Now it was much better last week, but I don't know. I mean, we'll see.
Okay, I'm going to comment on this. I don't think Hurts. I think Kansas City's going to really try hard to stop the run, and I do agree.
Yeah.
Hurts had 2 or 3 incredible throws last week. I was just, what the heck? Like right when they needed them too. It was really kind of impressive what he did. I don't think he can do it again, though. And I think they're going to be focusing on stopping the run, which means stopping both of those guys. I don't hate the over on Hurts, but I like the under more. So for me, it's a little closer. I hate Cantu's over on his first bet, but we're talking about this one. All right, Woodley. Hurts over 40 yards rushing. Yes or no?
No. I think to Mike's point, they're gonna make Hurts beat them throwing the ball. Like that's it.
That's what
Right?
I
Like
think
they're not
too.
gonna let him scramble around for a bunch of stuff. He'll get yards because they'll push him and all that.
He'll get 30.
By the way, I
he's
agree.
still-
I
he's-
agree with that statement. I still think he forces it, with 12, 13 carries, 10, maybe 10, 12 carries. I still think is 4 yards a carry. But go on.
So he'll carry it 12 and Barkley will carry it 30.
No, I didn't. No, I was
that,
being ridiculous when I said 30, but you never know. Like anybody.
No, I mean,
if it's working, you're not going to go away from him. I mean,
if Hurts carries it 12 times, there's something very wrong that happened there too.
Right.
Like the Superdome imploded and snow came on the field and there was a blizzard or something.
okay, that's not that ridiculous.
Yeah,
It is ridiculous.
I will agree with Woodley on this one.
It is ridiculous.
Cantu, listen, notwithstanding my pick of Washington winning by 20, you've had some of the most ridiculous picks of all of us. Now, it's not a reflection on you. You've had a lot of winners too. But
what ridiculous picks? I don't know.
The fact that you think Russell Wilson's like the 17th best quarterback to us is just
14,
hilarious.
14.
For Pro Bowl.
He's in the Pro Bowl.
Pro Bowl. Him and Jake May are in the Pro Bowl together.
I would take Drake May over Russell.
Yeah.
Okay, so Woodley, I'm going to go with my pick now. Okay, ready? So I think what we have on this is Cantu. Cantu liked over 40 yards for Hurts rushing, and we all said no. Just like he liked his first pick, we all said no. All right, I'm going, and Cantu likes this one. Cantu and I are on the same side. Mahomes rushing over 29.5 yards. Mahomes rushing over 29.5 yards. Now, Mikey, if you love this, I'll just make it your second pick. I know Cantu likes it.
I'll just bet $1,000. I'll bet $1,000 with you. I'll take.
You want the under?
Yes.
Okay, bet.
Okay.
I'll write it down. All right, so I have Mahomes to rush over 29.5 yards. I love it. I think Mahomes, whenever I can't believe that he's in these 3rd and 16s in all these huge games, and all of a sudden he's taking off to the right, and somebody has him stopped. And he makes that little fake throw, juke, and all of a sudden 25 yards. I'm like, where did that come from? How does he do it over and over and over again? Oh. Now, Mike, go ahead. You like the other side.
How did the best running quarterback in the NFL this year do against Kansas against the Eagles last week? That's all I want to know.
Well, I don't know. I think Allen is the best running. Well, all right. Yeah, all right. It's a good point. I'll give you that.
Okay,
they were trailing. They were trailing the whole game, though.
And Jaden is not like
the first half. He was like life and death to get a yard. That's why they had a field goal in that long possession to start the game.
It's such a. You can't even compare him. I mean, you can't compare him because, like, the thing about Mahomes is he's such a pro reading the defenses. He can slip. Washington was behind the 8 ball that entire game, and yeah, I mean, I love Mahomes in this. Like, they don't even have to design runs. I mean, he could get this literally in, like, he could have this by the end of the first quarter easily. The end of the first fucking drive.
He really could.
Like, this is funny because in the chat last week, what I said.
Sorry, guys.
Mahomes.
Let me just send this bet to Mike. A free $1,000 for Philly. Go ahead, Woodley.
I said in the chat, I was like, I love Mahomes 25-1 to get the first touchdown, which meant he had to get a rushing touchdown. And he got 2, but he didn't get the first one, right? So I'm going to go back to that this week, but we'll talk about that later. But no, I think Mahomes gets it. I think he smashes it. I think the only way he doesn't smash it is if they're like getting to. I don't know if there's a single game script, as they say, where he doesn't get it, because if they're trailing by a lot, they're going to be dropping people. He's going to be running for 7-8 yards.
I'll take 3-1 on the under 20. How's that?
No.
Okay.
What? No. No. Why would I?
It's probably about 5-1. I was giving you a deal. Okay.
No, I'll do the over under that Phil just gave you. I'll do that one.
Okay, but that's the line. I mean, I got to double check.
Well, it's the line on my side. All right, Woodley. So I bet Mikey $1,000. You love it. I love it. You listed some really good reasons.
Come on.
Do you know, watching Mahomes play with the accuracy of his arm, it's the most accurate arm in the NFL. It scares the hell out of those defenses. And so they occasionally just let Mahomes go for whatever reason.
I got a question for you.
And he's slippery.
Geniuses. Where was the Bills' rushing defense ranked? Since y'all's geniuses.
It wasn't good. Yeah,
it was like 20th. Where is the Eagles' rushing defense? Number fucking 1.
Here's the thing about Mike, though. He talks about these like regular season stats, and again, it's the playoffs. Like, none of it matters. Like, here's a perfect example. Josh Allen is like 4-1 against Mahomes in the regular season. It doesn't fucking matter, right? Like, none of these regular season stats matter.
But
like,
it does matter because fucking he shredded that rush defense of the Bills. He got like 80 yards rush. What do you have last week?
The Bills defense looked pretty good those first 2 weeks, though, Mike. So like, it's ridiculous. And you know, he did this. Mahomes, like,
How do you do versus the
it's tough to
top?
argue
How do
because
you do versus the Houston top 5 run defense? How many yards did you
they
get?
didn't need him to run. They won. We sat on this podcast last week.
Saying,
we said at
man,
any point in that game,
you're
did you
not.
feel
You're
like
comparing
did you feel
apples to oranges. Get it
So
through
are
your
you,
head.
Mike.
The Eagles are the number 1 defense in all of football. The number 1 run defense in all of football. Okay, get it through your face. That's why they're.
there's a big difference? There's a big
Well,
difference.
Mike,
between
we
you and
already
I,
bet you
like-
1,000. We're going to bet more. Woodley's going to bet more on this too. He's going to text you later. You're worried about the line suddenly.
Yeah. I mean, he can't.
Now, Mike.
Here's the big difference, right?
Mike,
He calls it squares for picking Mahomes.
I
Mahomes is 17-3 in
I
the
just
playoffs.
love
and I've yet to hear one
I
argument.
just love everything in this game under. I really believe it's going to be a low scoring game. I really do.
And I believe in everything. Look how opposite we
because
look at this game.
because every single square.
Mike,
every
stop one
square
sec.
that
Mike,
I know, I want to hear.
Mike, we're going to have to mute you again because it's your turn and I want you to talk. But I think I think your pick is going to be under 48.5 points because you said you love everything under.
Yeah.
And so we're going to make that your second pick. Is that right?
When I just said that I was going to make it like maybe my top pick. So I'll make it my second pick.
That's Mike's pick. We've already talked about it. Woodley's right. Woodley, what is your second pick?
Juju Smith-Schuster, 50 plus yards receiving, 5-1. Okay. Last week he had 2 catches, one for 29 and one for 31. They're obviously going to throw deep. All right. Like he could get that. 5-1 is crazy odds.
I like that.
I think
I love that
I think his
bet.
over under is like 16.5. You mentioned Hopkins, and I kind of like that Hopkins thing there too. But Juju was their second leading receiver last week. All of a sudden, Juju has it. Right. And we talked about this last year, or I was talking about this, like these Super Bowls, like the Chiefs, they randomly have a guy like pop up out of nowhere and have a big game. Like last year was McCole Hardman, and McCole Hardman had a disastrous regular season for them. He had like 2 good games and like 15 fucking duds. This year, the same thing with the Chiefs. Juju had like one amazing regular season game, a couple and then a bunch of duds, and he came alive in the playoffs. So I love it. 5-1. I mean, I love it. I wish I'm gonna look for more. I'm gonna see if I could find it like 80 plus and 100 plus. Like they have this thing called a ladder, right? And it's where you take every alternate thing where you bet them at 20 plus, which is minus 105, 30 plus, which is 185, 40 plus, which is 310, 50 plus, which is 500. And you do a unit on each one of those. And what happens is you can scoop the whole thing. But even if you miss, 50, but get 30 plus, like,
I
still
love
winning
that
a lot
ladder.
of money.
That's
So-
a great idea.
Such a cute, fun Super Bowl bet because if he gets hot, you never know. Players like this get hot all the time in the Super Bowl. Like they were
so
kind
fun.
of irrelevant. That would be a real fun one to just keep going up the ladder.
I like anything where you can just hit it instantly, right? I like those first TD ones, but like the beauty about these ones too is like it could be the fourth quarter. He have 7 yards and like 1 catch gets you there, and those are really fun during these like big games, right? Because let's be honest, right? Like it's very hard to find an edge on the sides and the totals for these Super Bowls, right? Like there are edges to be found in the prop market. So right, you kind of have to go look and find them, and they're fun. I mean, these are
all right.
things
I
everyone
love
can
this
discuss.
Juju Smith.
I
Cantu, go ahead. You
love
love
this.
it. Go ahead. And I love Cantu. You comment first.
I already kind of said that. I like that whole ladder thing. Where
The
I think
ladder
that's
thing.
kind
I
of fun.
love it.
I mean, I'm gonna look into that.
Me too.
I'm staying at Fontainebleau, just going down the sports book, see if they have any ladder type things here. Because that's
Clear
just
that, to
fun.
be clear though, for the viewers, and you have to bet each one separately. So you have to put like a unit on that.
Yeah.
What are you
but-
guys talking about? My computer died.
Don't worry about it, Mike. Yeah, you'll love it.
You'll hate
anyways.
it.
Mike, Juju Smith-Schuster to have 50 receiving yards. You get laid
take
5
under.
to 1. No,
You
but
could give
he
him
had a
100 to 1.
39. Yeah, he had a 31 yard and a 29 last week.
Mike
He
hates.
probably won't
hates
even play. He probably won't even play. So,
I'll bet you $5,000 he does.
yeah, how many snaps did he take last week? About 3?
Yeah, enough
Last
to
week
get
he had 60 yards,
yards.
Mike. You would have won the money.
Juju Smith-Schuster had 60 yards receiving last week.
Phil, can I give a long
Yes.
shot? I got a long shot
Yes.
bet for us.
Hold on, Cantu. Hold on.
I thought it was Hollywood Brown that got all the yards.
No.
Danny, can you please post all of our number 2 picks? And Mike's was just was under 48.5. I love this, Woodley. The 5 to 1 is fun too, and I love this ladder thing. I have to see if I can find this because
You can find it at Caesars.
That's beautiful. Mike, so you can bet, what Woodley's saying is you can bet over 16, over 25, over 35, over, and if you hit one, you hit a unit, but if you hit all of them, you might pick up like 12
How about
units.
if you go under on all of them, how many units can you get?
Well, I see 16.5 yards. Do you want under 16.5 yards, Mike?
Well, Mike,
how many can I get for that?
Well, you can bet
You
me.
don't understand. I believe the Eagles are the best defense in the fucking football this year, and I don't believe the Kansas City's scoring over 17. So
Mike just thinks the Chiefs might end up at 0. I mean,
they might win. They might win the game. They might win the
game.
game 17, 16, or 20-17. It's possible, but this is going to be a fucking low-scoring game, just like fucking last year's Super Bowl was.
I just bet Juju
Mike
Smith.
is gonna bet the under on every player. He's gonna bet the under on every Chiefs player, and like 9
I'm
of
betting
them will
under
lose,
on
and one
every
of them he
fucking.
won't, and he'll take
I'm
the
betting
win.
under on every fucking Eagles player too, except for one, and that's AJ Brown, because I know that they are going to focus so much on Barkley that the Eagles are going to have to open up the passing game, and I think, and I know Kansas City's pass defense has been shitty all year, so there you go.
Okay, Mike, we're going to do one last question each. We're going to wrap this up with at about the hour mark. The last question is, I'm coming to Woodley first. What was the biggest surprise of the NFL season? And I think you and I probably agree, but go ahead. Mike, you and I are thinking the same thing.
The biggest surprise of the NFL season, it's not even close. No, it's fucking
like you're baiting.
Jaden Daniels
like
and the Washington Redskins. I mean,
okay.
The team
one,
won
Mike.
13 games. This team was preseason picked to win what, 5.5?
Yeah.
I mean, it's just not even close.
Yeah, I'm gonna say kind of like it's funny. It's like kind of the more things change, the more things stay the same way, right? Yeah, like you had the Vikings and the Commanders both like absolutely crush it. Crush expectations this year, right? Like rise of the Darnold, all this stuff. But at the same time, where do we sit? And I feel like we talked about this at the beginning of the season and throughout the year is like everybody but Mike saw this coming, right? The Chiefs are going to go for this repeat. They're going to make it there, all that, right? So yes, as pumped as I am about the Vikings, as pumped as Commanders fans should be, as pumped as Eagles fans should be about the future, as pumped as Phil can be about the Niners now that they went out and got like Salah back, right? And Purdy's gonna be back. Everybody's gonna be healthy again. Cantu is on fucking planet Mars because now he's a Raiders fan because they got Pete Carroll and fucking Russell Wilson to go win like 4 games. He'll comment on that. It's like it doesn't matter because until they take out Mahomes, until you can beat Mahomes, it doesn't matter. Like the name of the game is winning the Super Bowl, and
so the biggest
Mahomes
surprise is the team that was favored to win the Super Bowl before the season is in the Super Bowl.
I said the biggest.
Really well. Good take, Woodley. Good take. The team that was favored is in the Super Bowl. What a surprise!
No, but everybody sat here.
Woodley, Mike just shot you with a BB gun, and you deserved it. Now take the hit. Cantu, what's your biggest surprise?
My biggest surprise
but everybody said they couldn't do 3 in a row, though. It's never been done. It's never been done.
They ain't gonna do it. Next.
My biggest surprise is it's the 3rd year in a row that Mike he's went against Mahomes every game of every year. This is I think their Chiefs' 9th playoff game. My biggest surprise is Mike is going against the Chiefs again. It's about to lose the 9th game again. That's my biggest surprise.
I had the Chiefs against Houston. Okay, and I didn't want action last week, but I'm vehemently, and listen, I've told you I'm never going against Kansas City again, but I know the Eagles are that much better at every position but 2, quarterback and coach, and those are 2 pretty big spots.
No, in all seriousness, my biggest surprise was Vikings regular season. It has nothing to do with their postseason. Yeah. Overall, great season, Woodley, on the Vikings. I know it was disappointing.
It's stupid, though. It's a pointless season. This is my whole point. If you don't do it in the playoffs, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter.
Well, Woodley,
Daniels got a 5.5 win preseason team to the NFC Championship game, and you want to talk about you guys thought C.J. Stroud was so good. This guy, everybody in the coaching circles said they would pick 4 quarterbacks to play on their team.
Him so bad. He's mushing him so bad
to play on their team over Jaden Daniels. Burrow,
Mike,
Lamar,
I'm going to give you,
and
Mike,
Mahomes.
I'm going to give you, that's a great take. I think you and Cantu with great takes. Washington's a big surprise. Daniels was incredible. I think Minnesota, I'm going to go with Minnesota as being my surprise. I know Woodley doesn't like it because it brought him so much pain, especially because he got built up and built up and built up and built up, and he was so hyped up. And for them to lose that first playoff game, the first playoff game was brutal for Woodley. And I know how much pain he was in. But Minnesota regular season was a surprise to me. So I think that's a good take. And I'm going to agree with you there, Cantu. Woodley,
You know what's crazy,
your
though,
take
though?
was horrible.
Here's my-
But let's talk about I think we can talk about the most disappointing season. And I'm most disappointed in my 49ers.
Well, they had injuries, Phil. You can't really, The most disappointing team, without a doubt, has to
Cowboys.
be like the
Cowboys
Jets.
to me
The
were the
Jets
most
were
disappointing.
fucking like Super Bowl picks. The Jets had an over/under of 10.5. They won 4 games.
I agree. The Jets.
And they're deep. But the thing about the Jets, and there's been a lot of talk about it, right? Is the last 7, 8 games, Rodgers was actually pretty good. Right? But what happened? The first 5 weeks, after the first 4 weeks, they fired Saleh, right? They had the number 1 defense in the NFL the first 4 weeks, and their offense was terrible. What happened after they fired Saleh? The defense fell off a fucking cliff.
Yeah, that's right, Mike. I think that's right. The Jets maybe should have been patient another week or two. I was kind of surprised that happened. I know what they were trying to do, but I didn't like that move. Cantu, what's your biggest disappointment?
Mine's the Cowboys. I mean, the Cowboys were supposed to be good.
You guys are picking teams with injuries. I mean, Dak missed 8 games.
It's still a disappointment,
touch on
though,
that. Mike, even before Dak was hurt, they were just doing nothing. They fired McCarthy, which I think is good. I don't know if the coach they got is any better, but at least it's more hope. But yeah, the Cowboys were the biggest.
Let's talk about
disappointment,
McCarthy for a second. The players love him.
Man.
I did not like. We talk about game managers and we talk about coaches for everything else. Game managers versus coaches, everything else. And the poker players, we go crazy when these game managers miss all this obvious stuff, and we're like, "Oh my God, can you believe this? We did this 10 years ago before they invented these new analytics." The poker players were like, "Oh my God, that was the stupidest call in history." Because anybody with half a brain in game theory would understand all these massive mistakes that were made. And McCarthy made a lot of game theory mistakes, when he coached the Packers.
How can you fire McCarthy and replace him with your offensive coordinator who's never been a coach?
Mike, they had a losing record. They had a losing record before he even got hurt.
They wanted him. What's going on in Dallas is
it's a joke.
They basically have set up, they did this with Jason Garrett when they made him into offense. He was kind of like the coach in waiting. They've done that now with Jason Witten. And what happened in Dallas is basically Jerry Jones was like, McCarthy, we'll keep you around, but you got to put Witten, on the staff. And McCarthy was like, fuck you. He's like, I'm not he had nothing against Witten, but he's like, I'm not training my replacement. I'm not going to be this dead man walking. So he walked away. And then everybody knows that Jerry wants Witten in there eventually. So it's a very undesirable job. So, hey, give it to Brian Schottenheimer. And everybody's bashing Schottenheimer. But hey, I mean, hell, if they go out and win 10 games next year, maybe he is it. I mean, sometimes you give these career guys that never got a chance.
They better sign a lot of people in free agency.
The craziest
I'm rooting
stat
for
I
him.
saw
I'm rooting for him.
was the Cowboys haven't been to an NFC Championship game in 29 years.
Really?
Double the longest. It's double the longest of
Washington's
anyone
been there
else
now.
in the
Washington's
NFC.
been there before they have.
That's double. That's nuts.
I have a
Because
friend who's a diehard Dallas
I've seen him there so many times in my lifetime. It's absolutely nuts that it's been that
They've
long.
had a first round bye. They've had a first round bye 4 or 5 times. They've been the number 1 seed a couple times.
Yeah.
I mean, they had that Romo game against Seattle where he
that was
fumbled
my
the
favorite.
PAT or
I
fumbled
mean, they
the
did
field
get
goal or
robbed
whatever it was.
when what's his name? They called it a non-catch.
That's
against
right.
Green Bay.
That was in Green Bay.
That was
and I'm a
joke.
Packers fan, but I had a lot of money on the Cowboys in that game. That should have been a catch and a touchdown.
That Romo game was still 17 years ago. Even if that would have counted, they would still have to be the longest team.
17 years ago?
That Romo
My
misses
friend,
the
a
extra
diehard
point stuff.
Dallas
Oh, that
fan,
one,
he
yeah.
said he was in shambles watching the Eagles and fucking Washington in the NFC Championship game. He said it's just, he goes, you don't understand. I can't even breathe, he told me.
Disappointment.
I don't really
Personally,
want to
it's
hear your
obviously-
biggest disappointment after your last take.
It's obviously Darnold, but no. The biggest disappointment, honestly, is every week there's the referees are the center of attention. period.
it's
They're
really
making
bad.
awful things. Like, they don't know what the rules are. The rules are changing every week. There's face masks being missed. Now there's like too many penalties being called. They don't know what's going on. And then these head coaches, I've never seen so many like awful game theory, like Phil said, like
Game managers.
everyone knows game theory and stuff now.
Yeah.
Game manager, like I've never seen it worse. Like I don't know what the fuck's going on there. Like the on the field action is actually really good.
Let me ask you this, Woodley. I'm gonna pile on your point, Woodley, and I'm gonna go back. I'm gonna send it back to you. But it's so interesting. How can you have such huge game theory mistakes when each game is worth each win's worth roughly $8 million to a franchise? Woodley, go ahead. I'm just astounded.
I don't get it.
I mean, his Viking coach was fucking running the ball 2 in a row, down 18 points with a minute to go in the third quarter. And and they get the ball with 30 seconds. They could have got another playoff, but they let the quarter run out because they had all the time in the world, down 18.
Mike's right.
You want any like bad moments that you want me to relive for you, Mike? Like, you know, I mean, anyways.
No, but we're talking about coaching. I mean, that's just a coaching spot.
No,
that
I mean,
it's
a great example. Like I think the moment
Tomlin also.
if we're asking like why coachings do this, I think the moment gets too big for these guys. Like it's really funny. Like I actually kind of used to subscribe to this thought that like if you're a professional athlete, like things like clutch and stuff, like it kind of existed, but like the moment would never get too bright. Like you're a professional, right? Like like Phil's a professional poker player. Like it doesn't get too light for him. Like you put us in some of those spots. Like we falter. Man, but like in the NFL, it's a different game. I mean, listen, we saw it with Darnold, we saw it with Love, we saw it with Herbert. These guys continue to kind of falter a bit. I'm not going to put Allen in there because Allen played pretty fucking good. But these coaches too, man. I mean, O'Connell, who's going to be coach of the year, like, I don't know if I trust him moving forward in the playoffs. Dan Campbell, like, how do you trust that? How do you trust
O'Connell was awful in that game, Cantu. I mean,
Campbell was so bad. Campbell was so bad in the Washington game. He gave that game away.
Yeah, but I still trust him.